Hi there. My name is Avil Beckford, and I'm the host of the One Problem podcast. You know, there are tons of problems in the world, but we will not get overwhelmed. We're going to focus on one problem at a time. Most of the people who are my guests on this podcast, I have some prior relationship with them. Today, that's the case. I've known Becky for a couple of months and I met her on LinkedIn. So Becky Wolfe works with burnout teams and helps them to find a way forward. She's also the co-host of the Leadership Pulse podcast. I just love that name. So over to you, Becky.
Thank you so much, Avel. Oh my goodness, it is an honor to be on this podcast. Thank you so much. As you mentioned, there are so many problems in the world. My focus is burnout in teams. And how do we go from burnout culture, so one that's just you're feeling a lot of pressure and stress right now, and then going to engaged culture, because they're very different things, healthy and engaged culture. So I'm going to set the tone first, which is some statistics that I've read recently, and then define burnout just a little bit, and then go into solutions, which I think are a natural next step here. So Harvard Business Review estimates that annual healthcare spending for burnout is $125 billion to $190 billion. Gallup estimates burnout costs between $3,400 to per 10,000 per person salary, and that's more so with disengagement at work. The average turnover for nursing for healthcare is 27.1%, but it's anywhere between 5.1 to 64%. The organizations I've been talking to, their average is around 40%. Burnout rates with physicians are 65%, and with other healthcare staff, it's around 73%. So pretty staggering statistics. And of note here, 300 to 400 physicians commit suicide per year. And that's a statistic that I found over the last few months that was just something that hit me right in the heart because of my background. So that's why I'm focused on burnout, and more so in the systematic approach to dealing with it, not as much individually, because I think there are some systems that really need to change. So let me define burnout and the characterizations of it, and I'm going to jump into some solutions here. So burnout, by definition, is a state of fatigue or frustration brought about by a devotion or cause to a way of life or a relationship that has failed to produce an expected reward. When I think of that definition, I think of people going into healthcare and education. Those are the two fields that I feel like people are so passionate about, that is part of their DNA. So characterizations of how we describe burnout. So it's energy depletion or exhaustion, negativism or cynicism to one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. So all of those are pertinent when we're discussing burnout. It is really paramount to kind of describe what burnout is before we start talking about solutions, especially if you're a leader leading a company or teams through burnout. We have to understand what it is before we can do something about it. And individually, it is our job to understand ourselves and understand what it feels like to feel burned out, and understand having some self-awareness of how to get better. But if we're going back into systems that aren't set up to really help us feel healthy, reduce the chronic stress that then leads to burnout, we're going to continue to set ourselves up for failure. So that's why we really have to focus on a systematic approach to dealing with burnout. So as I think through all of this and all of the data and research and articles that I've seen, like, the system has to change. We have to do something about the systems in healthcare and education and every other sector of business. And if you've read the US Surgeon General's report, it talks about how to have healthy workplace culture, because stress is literally killing us. We have to do something about mental health, because COVID has opened the doors to the mental health that we're all experiencing, the mental health symptoms that we're all facing that we've not really done much about. And we have to find resources to help in the workplace so people can have healthier, happier workplace environments. So again, it is an individual thing where we have to work towards understanding ourselves and having that self-awareness to what makes us feel better. But if we're really targeting the workplace, what does that look like? How do we actually make or make strides to having a healthier workplace. So the one thing I harp on is psychological safety. So going into a solution, psychological safety has to be the first thing we do, because that is the foundation for everything else that leads into healthy workplace culture. So that starts with communication that's focused on productive conversations. It is the conversations that you can have without fear of retribution. You can say, hey, I kind of need this resource, and that's not going to be taken personally against you, or say, I'm really challenged by this. And that communication actually is productive and it goes somewhere. So this type of environment with psychological safety produces unity instead of division. And that's the key of what we're looking for right now. In teams, we need unity. That is the thing we need above all else. And psychological safety is the way to get there. When you have a psychologically safe environment, people feel valued, seen, and heard. It is the foundation of where we can build real trust. It's the foundation of where we can actually have open communication and show up as ourselves. I think people just want to show up as themselves and be authentic in any circle that they're involved in, whether that's home or their community or their work environment. They just want to be one person. And psychological safety is the way to do that. It's just opening the doors of, hey, I see you, I know you have a home life, and, the challenge may be there. It may not be at work. So, how can I help support you? And sometimes it's just that conversation. So practically speaking, how do we do this? And I give 3 questions to my clients because I want them to open the door with something, especially with those one-to-one conversations. And it's, what's going well for you right now? So celebrating something, having the person across from you celebrate something. So what's going well for you right now? What's an area where you would like to grow, or where is that? Is it professionally? Is it personally? It doesn't even have to be a professional thing where they want to see improvement. And what are you most challenged by right now? And again, in a psychologically safe environment, you can say, hey, I'm most challenged right now by my kid struggling at school. And, he's going through something, and that's really kind of on my brain. Because kind of processing through that out loud and having the safety to kind of bring that to the table, your boss then knows, like, hey, they're kind of going through something at home. I'm going to support them in every possible way that I can. And sometimes it's just needing that safe space to talk about it and then moving forward. And that's it. It's literally it. But it's creating that safe space for people just to be themselves. It is taking judgment out of conversations. It is taking the fear of something being held against you. And then it is just asking really good questions, opening the door for curiosity. So that's the long first solution. The second solution is really creating a vision. So we've been in this mindset the last couple of years where it's just a lot of emotional and mental strain. And we need a vision to kind of get us out of this place of burnout. So how do we look forward to establishing this healthy vision moving forward? And I ask leaders, I'm like, is your vision compelling? Can people see it? Can they attach to it? Do they feel it? Do they understand their position in it? If the answer is no, you've got to have a stronger vision, or you have to tailor it to the people you're working with. So that's the second short solution. So the first one is the one I really harp on. Second one is really having a vision to move forward, having that transparent communication of like, hey, this is the steps we're taking to move forward. And then the third solution is finding resources. So I say this to every leader, like, this is a lot for you to take on, and it's not fully your responsibility to understand what this looks like. And this is what people who are consultants and people who have done leadership degrees, psychologic, or people who have like psychologically or developmental psychology degrees and things, like, they love this stuff. This is for us to kind of get involved with you and be a resource for you, no matter what that looks like. So find somebody you can talk to in your world who just will be there to listen and give you resources. And I always say, like, I'm a resource. The first conversation you have with me might be the only one, because I'm going to be able to give you to somebody who's a better resource than I am. And I think that that's good, and that's caring for the person. That's fighting for the highest possible good for the person that's on the other side of you. If you really treat yourself as a resource and somebody there to listen, you're going to say, hey, this isn't my area of expertise, but maybe this is theirs. Or if I can help you, I'm going to say, hey, this is what it would look like. Let's dive a little deeper and see if this is an option now, or if it's later is a better choice for you. But find those resources, and you don't have to take on everything yourself. Because I think there's the pressure of feeling like you have to do it all or find the solution internally. And that's not the case. You don't have to do that. The other thing I would say for the resources is find somebody who's going through something similar and start having conversations. Just getting ideas brought to the table can then spark different resources and references and people that have ideas. So don't feel like you have to go with this alone. So that would be my third solution, just to get people moving in the right direction. Being stagnant right now, doing nothing is not an option because we don't have time to wait. So we want things to thrive and be in the position from surviving to thriving. So doing something is the key, is the key to getting to that healthy culture that you see on the other side. So thank you so much. Abel, back to you. I appreciate the opportunity.
You have given me a lot of food for thought, and I'm sure that people are gonna appreciate the guidance and the advice you have given them. Thank you so much, Becky.
Thank you so much.